Hi everyone, Johnny from WP Johnny here, and now I'm going to talk about choosing between CentOS or CENTOS versus Ubuntu for your web server. So what's the difference between these two? So there are different operating systems out there, like, as you already know, Windows, PC, or like Mac, or like iOS, or Linux, or what's the other one? FreeBSD. So within Linux, right, there are many different distributions of Linux. They're all built on the same Linux, but they're built differently. They're structured a little differently. So nowadays, for web servers, the two most popular ones, or two very popular ones, are supported by many web server software and applications and services out there. Usually they're either going to be on CentOS or Ubuntu, or even both. And that it confuses many people because they don't know which one to choose. So I would say this, CentOS is based off of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and Ubuntu is based off of Debian. And so what's the difference? CentOS is considered a little more stable, and it's a little more stable because it doesn't have like so many updates, right? So that's part of why it's more stable, because it's very common that when you have tons of updates, tons of like the latest features, the latest patches, the latest modules and software, sometimes it can be a little buggy. So it's considered a little more stable. Ubuntu, on the other hand, can be considered maybe higher performance, or has the latest packages, the latest software, the latest choices out there. So that's another highly popular Linux distribution. Which one is better performance? You could say Ubuntu very slightly because it gets the very latest versions, or maybe it has more features because it gets it just has more options, it has more packages out there. But generally for web servers, I would say if you even have to ask the question, I would choose CentOS just for stability. I would prefer that. Now, when it comes to like documentation, and when it comes to which one's more popular, I would say this, for businesses, or if you're hosting a web server for other people, right, not only for yourself, then I think CentOS is the best choice. It's the most stable. Typically, web servers would probably be more compatible with CentOS first. All right? And if you're building a server for yourself, okay, this is for your own personal use, your own even professional use, and you are going to maintain it, and you know how to do a lot of things, then Ubuntu is a great choice. All right? I think where it can get a little mixed around is if you're building a server or a Linux computer for your own personal use, like you want like a desktop use. It's not just a web server, it does other functions and applications. Then that's where Ubuntu starts to win. I remember when I first started using Linux, Ubuntu was the cool thing at the time. I hadn't even heard of CentOS at the time. It was Ubuntu and like SUSE and all those other ones. But Ubuntu was a very popular one at the time. It's got tons of like plugins and like just third-party plugins. I don't even know what the word is. Is it apps? So for all computer use, regular Linux computer use, Ubuntu might have the edge. It's just got more third-party plugins. It has more community documentation. It's just bigger. But if you're talking about commercial web server use, then CentOS wins. I hope that answers your question. And if you want to learn some more, you can search CentOS versus Ubuntu. I found a pretty good guide on hostinger.com. So yeah, you can see Ubuntu is updated a little more frequently, but doesn't support some of the control panels that people like to use. Larger user and developer community, but that's for like all of Ubuntu. Where I think for web server use, I think CentOS has just as big or just as much documentation and user community out there. And then as opposed to easier to learn for beginners or harder to learn for beginners, if you're not a Linux command junkie, I think both will seem pretty challenging, right? So there you go. I hope that answers your question. Thanks for watching.